Hey, it did work. And wait, and the fade worked. Uh-oh, did we just nail the intro? I think we did. Welcome, everybody.
You know what that means? That means it's our 1 year anniversary. We figured this out. It took a year.
Whoa, we did it. One full year, 30 plus episodes. Today's 31. Yeah. Man, that's pretty awesome, man. Like, I'm proud of us. We stuck to a thing. We did it. And honestly, I think we've gotten better.
We'll see how today goes. But no, I think, it's fun looking back at all when you do it week to week, you don't think about it. But then when you put it all together, you're like, yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
And, it is. We've highlighted a bunch of artists
for having all of our different children and sicknesses and all this other stuff. We managed to get a bunch of these in, and they're always a treat. And I'm excited for today's show.
Me too, man. I always look forward to this. This is I'm always bummed when we're not able to make it, but when we do them, it is the highlight of the week, if not the day. So today, very excited. This is an artist who I guess we met, I don't know, maybe about a year and change ago. But I've been thoroughly fanboying like all of his stuff. I've really just totally enjoyed it. He is an AI artist, but it's sort of like there are some people who do one thing and do it consistently, but he likes to experiment and do a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't know, there's something really special about that, because every time he puts something out, I'm impressed by it. And it's really like, there's a lot of thought behind it. It's really deep. And he doesn't just, prompt a thing and then hope it looks good or cool. Like, he puts a lot of intention into his work. And I think that's what drew me to him originally. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I think he falls into the camp of like creative director more than AI artist. So let's dive into it.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, everybody. We have Nuclear Samurai. Hello.
Hey, reveal.
Could you imagine I did the whole show like that? That'd be really annoying. How do you feel about that? You can't see my face.
We like you, but we like you even less now. Thanks.
Yeah, it wouldn't be our first masked guest. So
that's true.
Wow.
Welcome, man,
and
thank you. Thank you for doing this. I know that time being a thing, you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're in Australia, and so it is not an ideal time for you. You're just waking up. So thanks for joining us.
It's better than most shows. Most shows are at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. for me. Like, this is fine. It's like 6:30, and I've got a baby, so I don't get to sleep in anymore,
Bryan knows all about that.
Wait, 6:30 a.m.?
A.m., yeah.
Nice.
On Saturday, yeah. It's Saturday here, so it's the 2nd of November.
He's in the future.
I was up at 6:30 this morning, so I can relate.
Bryan, were you ever, before your child, more of a morning person or not?
No, not, because I feel like, especially working in TV, like a lot of the shows I worked on taped in the evenings, and so I wouldn't have to be at work until 10 a.m., sometimes 11 a.m. for most jobs, and also even being a waiter and all this stuff, you just become more of a night cycle person. So this is definitely a change of pace for me.
Yeah, I'm a night person, but ever since the baby came along, I'm a morning person, and I'm starting to learn something about morning people. They have like this superpower that no one else wants to be up in the morning. So when you do things first thing, they're all like, no one there. It's chill as. It's awesome.
That's true. It is quiet. Every once in a while when I like go overseas to like London or Dubai or something, and you just realize everyone's offline, it's a little bit of a superpower because there's just no distractions. What's Adam doing? You okay there, Adam?
I'm okay now. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good. But
oh man, I know I mentioned it earlier, but I've really thoroughly enjoyed all of the work that you've put out, and watching the evolution of it as well. I first came across your work, I think it was with the series in New York, the reimagined flood and disaster that happens in New York, and then using that as like religious iconography and putting your stamp on that take. I feel like that was the first time I saw your work, and it really it felt cinematic, but like I said, and Bryan mentioned art direction, it felt like it had a really good concept behind it, and it wasn't like the stuff I'd been seeing with like, oh, that's kind of cool or that's kind of a neat thing. It wasn't a gimmick. It was like it was a story.
Yeah, so that work was called Baptism, that series. And yeah, for me, that is one of like the things that I'm the most proud of because I'm really happy with how it turned out. And sometimes you look back on something you did and you go, I could have done that better. I think for the time that I did the best that I could there. And I'm always so happy to revisit that work. And that was actually one of the things that really put me on the map. It really kind of got me out to a lot of people. But it was at the end of a year where I was a bit of like a whirlwind year for me, like where a lot of good things happened for me thanks to Claire Silver actually. So that was after I'd been introduced to a lot of people through her. So
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, and she's incredible in terms of pioneering a lot of what AI can be and what other people have sort of taken from her in terms of inspiration. Yeah. Huge. But so you started with like so you, correct me if I'm wrong, you come from like a photography background, right?
Yeah, so I'm a trained photographer. Also worked for like about 8 years as a commercial photographer. Until recently I was doing that full time, but now I'm doing it freelance, which is crazy because like I always wanted to go freelance so that I could get the freedom to work on this stuff, my art, more. But I was always a bit worried if I'd get enough work. But now I'm so booked out as a freelancer, I need to start actually cutting off days so that I can do this as well.
Dude, I mean that's the dream though, right? Like control your own your own hours and being able to turn down some work. That's really awesome too. So good
That's
for
the
you.
hardest thing about a 9 to 5 is like you can't just say, "Oh, I'm not coming in tomorrow because I want to be on a show," like.
You went from doing static work to once video started to come into AI. You were at least in my world, you were somebody who got into video AI pretty early on.
Yeah, there was that Subway short, right?
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah, so that's really funny. Yeah, so when this new wave of like, I would say this is almost like the Gen 3 era, but Luma Labs kind of like was ahead of Runway Gen 3. This kind of generation of like AI video was it did start around then, but I was doing AI video back in 2023 as well, where I had actually the thing that I won the Claire Silver contest with was actually a 3-minute long video as well. And that had used like the techniques were much different then. So, it was like Runway Gen 2 and it was like using Deforum and like, doing a lot of stuff in actual, producing the animations in other ways where I could and mashing it all together in like Premiere and stuff. So, but yeah, now the tools are just so incredible. And like, you got Halo, you got Kaling, which is Kling. It's actually pronounced Kaling, I learned the other day. Yeah, Kaling. And then you got, Runway and Luma, like the kings of it. And Pika as well, yeah.
Yeah, Runway just put out that cool, like, you can move the camera around thing, which is really neat.
And also that thing where you can you could do a recording of you on the podcast, right? And then you can send the clip and just have them be characters. That's awesome. I love it.
That's crazy.
It's really cool. So when I think of AI production, it is a recipe of different software. What are your favorite things you're using right now to create your videos and images and all this other stuff?
Yeah, so I use a lot of the tools. It's an expensive habit, like it's an expensive thing to do, but like I do a lot of stuff locally as well. It doesn't cost you any money too, but like that is also from a position of privilege of having like a beast computer that can handle it. So like I use Comfy UI. I'm on like a fair few different models that I have for different things that I do. I've been creating my own LoRa's recently and stuff as well to have a bit more kind of like expression and uniqueness and stuff, and just being able to do something where I'll go, hey, I've got to get like a bunch of things that I can like pick from here. Having your own model helps a lot. So I use Comfy. I use there's Flux, but there's also now SD 3.5 as well. Ruperina still got me onto that. And yeah, SC 3.5 is great because it's terrible. It's terrible in some ways. It just absolutely messes things up, and I'm kind of liking that at the moment. And then yeah, Midjourney of course is a big one. I still use Midjourney a lot, and they've got new features now, the image editor, and they've also got ControlNet kind of thing, which works the same as ControlNet. So really expanded these tools to other people was great. So Midjourney is really accessible. Basically, yeah, for me, comfy Midjourney. For video, like Runway Gen 3, of course. But I'm thinking about giving that a break until I want to have more ideas that I want to get into, because it's really expensive. And then yeah, Luma Labs, Dream Machine, and yeah, Kling as well. I actually paid for a year ahead of Kling, and recently, not exactly an art tool, but I'm using it for art, is Replit. Replit's amazing.
What is Replit? I've not heard of it.
It's an AI coding tool, and you use it to code like websites or anything, and like it's just really, really helpful. And like, as someone who's been kind of like beating a club against my computer doing like AI coding, because I have limited understanding of coding, but you know, for someone who doesn't have the best coding foundation, being able to use something like Replit is amazing to get like my ideas to come to life through code. It's crazy.
That's awesome. I want to pull up a piece here that you sent over that I've been watching on loop on my end. I want to share with everybody. It's really kind of a really beautiful piece. Can you kind of like work us through what we're looking at and how you got it? Because it is not a video of a dad and a kid like with fireworks. That's not actually there, and it's looking pretty amazing.
Yeah, so this piece, Heaven, I actually produced this for it was for Nun X32, curated me for this to exhibit in Romania for an exhibit. When he said to me, like, because for me, ideas start at the idea, and like for me, I really approach things from kind of like a brief perspective, because it's just how I'm used to from the commercial world and stuff. And so for me, even when I have a creative idea, I will brief it to myself. And so when he said to me, he's like, "Oh yeah, the theme on this is utopia." You know, the first thoughts came to mind are like, you know, oh, how do you make a utopia image? And it's like AI art. And you know, you get those first ideas and you go, cool, that's probably what everyone else is going to do. And so then you take them and you put them aside, and maybe you come back to them. But if there's something really good there that jumps out. But for me, I wanted to think about, like, for me, like, what is heaven really? And I was like, oh, what is utopia really? And I'm like, it's this feeling of safeness, and this feeling of kind of like perfection. And I was like, the only thing that really matches that for me as a father is the moments that I spend with my daughter, that I get these like strong feelings in. And I was like, I wanted to capture that in a loop and have it be this like emotive kind of like sensational kind of feeling. And so then from there I go, what has these sensations in it, and what has these kind of like feelings in it? And then that's when I get the idea for the fireworks scene, because I'm like, oh, that's a really big experience to experience together. And so then I go into the, you know, generation phase, where I start generating it out, and I'll figure out, like, you know, I'll go to Midjourney usually for the quickest bang out of the ideas, and I'll go, all right, Midjourney, this, and I'll generate out all the people, and I'll see which ones look the way that I like, and then I'll take them and I'll use character reference to expand them into further. Like, the thing is, for video, most of the videos I storyboard them out in Midjourney, just because character reference is so good at getting you to be able to go, hey, this person in this scene, this person in that scene. And then when you have two people in the same scene, you use a character reference again of a cropped face of the one you want, and you edit it in, and you go, hey, edit this face into there, C-ref again, you know? So that way I've got these consistent people that happen across the mid shot and the close up. And then I took them into Kling for this one. I actually tried across all of them, because I want to see which one does it well. Like, it went into Luma Labs, it went into Gen 3, and it went into Kling as well. And Kling just worked the best. So and I apologize for saying Kling so much, but
it's all good,
because it reads like Kling, but like, someone corrected me the other day and I feel bad. So but yeah, man, It's crazy. Like the reason why I paid ahead for a year, and paying ahead for a year with AI software is actually so stupid because they get like really overridden really fast. But like it it really is such a special tool in terms of video because it's less censored, it's more responsive, it's slow as hell. It sucks in that regard. It's nothing like the responsiveness of Gen 3 or Luma, but for this idea where you want to do something where it is tight, it's shorter, there's less parts to it, um, I think it's the best tool so far.
That's
So
cool.
that's Kling. Kaling.
Wow. That's really cool, man. I mean, I look at this and I guess one of my first questions, you already answered a lot of them, was going to be how you get consistency from shot to shot. And I know that that's something that Midjourney has been getting better at and that I've seen people do. Because I feel like for a little while that was like the second hurdle. It was like, how many fingers will it generate, and can you have a consistent character throughout, scenes, or even consistent period. But it seems like you've kind of like solved, or they've solved it, and you've figured out how to make that work.
There's other ways as well. It's not Midjourney is not the only way. You can use like IP adapter. You can train a LoRa on characters as well. It's just that thing. It's just really about the responsiveness sometimes for me because I'm very much kind of like a methodical when I want to get something done, and I don't want to spend too long dicking around on it. And so if there is something that does the thing that I know how to do with 20 steps and it does it in 2 steps, I'm going to do it the quickest way, like
Sure.
I'm very kind of like practical in that regard. I don't really fetishize hard work. I actually really kind of fetishize results. Like, so for me, if if there is a way that something can be done that's quicker or easier or a better user experience, then I'm probably going to do that. And a good example of that is Magnific, right? And I know that a lot of people in the AI community hate Magnific because of essentially what they did was they took a free workflow and then they packaged it with a way to connect it to a GPU and then charge money for it. But the user experience is actually pretty good. And so I really like it in that regard. But I actually have the exact same thing set up in Comfy that's free and I can run it. I just choose not to sometimes.
I'm going to show some more work of yours because especially some of this video work here, because there was a piece that you put out not too long ago that really, when I saw it again, I'm consistently impressed with the level of execution with the work that you put out. And this one, stopped me in my tracks. Catabasis, and it was just such a clear call to agency work that it felt so polished. Could you talk a little bit about like this piece and how you made this piece?
Yeah, so this one is an interesting one because this is so I have a few different ways of working, and this one was created in a way that I would call as more reactive production, and it's something that's like I don't think really been possible until now. Not in any way of doing motion the way that we have up until now. Like to be able to be in the middle of something and then just drive through it like it's a dream. You know what I mean? And go, hey, this happens and then this happens because that's what I want to happen. And so the production of it's happening while I'm cutting it together and stuff. And so for this one, it started with the idea of the woman in the white room with the black sphere. That was the first idea. And I was like, oh, you know what? This is such a visually compelling idea. I want to explore it and see where it goes for me. And so then this realistically is what I did with another piece called Order that is not minted, or I don't know if I'm going to mint it, but it was for the Artifact Film Festival. The idea is for me to just kind of like reactively create the parts as I'm going and then feel it through while I'm going through it, and then I come back on the edits and I add more pieces as I need to. And if we're talking about traditional film production and stuff like that, well, that's a terrible way to produce things, like because you know you have your sets when you have them, you have your talent when you have them and stuff, and like you bunch things up so that it costs as little as possible. But
Right.
when
This
production,
the benefit of AI and iterative AI, right? That you can just on a whim create an environment and an entire scene like this, just testing it.
Yeah. And so the other thing about this piece is that I'm really a big fan of semiotics. Like almost everything that I produce has got some elements of using semiotics, and semiotics is, symbols, metaphor, analogy, synecdoche. They are these tools for representation, and they're basically, they're not just a visual tool. They're a writing tool. Like they're just part of how we tell stories, and they're part of how we communicate to each other. And for me, like, using symbols and using metaphors for things is really a powerful way of communicating a feeling or an idea when you want it to be a bit more kind of like less surface level. Because, anyone can do something that is like the obvious answer and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with doing the obvious answer in art, but like, I think that people have this feeling sometimes when they see something that is that elevated kind of art, that it is talking to them beyond what's on the surface, and there's something, a message underlying that they can perceive, and there's an open-endedness to it for them to put themselves into the story, and I think that this was kind of a successful example of that.
So part of the process is editing, like you said. What do you use to edit? You create all these clips, you bring it in. What do you prefer? Final Cut, Premiere? Like
Premiere for me. I'm an Adobe maxi. I'm not an Adobe fan, but I love Adobe, the way that it is responsive and stuff. And again, it's one of those things where it's like it is probably the most expensive way to do it. But for me, it's the most reactive way to do it, and it's got the best kind of like accessibility in terms of like me knowing how the tools work, and being able to go back and forth between Photoshop and just having that interconnectivity between the apps makes it easier for me. And the funny thing is, like, when I got into NFTs, my experience with video editing was not super deep. And all of the skills that I developed through my time of working on different projects. I had this one collaborator that I won't name, that their shit just totally fell apart. But they had me do some things for them in early 2022, and I had to learn how to. Oh, I want to move an image. I want to be image left and then image right. I had to learn how to do that,
Yeah.
And then so it went from really basic, like hammer hit thing, to I can do this kind of transition, or I can do that, and I can do an L cut, I can do a J cut. Like all of the like editing learning happened because of necessity, and I'm one of those people that I will, if I need to learn something, I'll learn it, like there's nothing like pressure to make me learn.
The title card from this looked like maybe it was done in, say, like After Effects or something.
That was After Effects, yeah. So that's
Nice.
that's another thing, but After Effects, I'm still at like barely making a spark in After Effects. I won't say
card
that's
looks nice.
Yeah, that one's actually a prefab. Actually, that wasn't me. I only tweaked it a little bit. So yeah.
I mean, it's what gets the job done, though. Like at the end of the day, a lot of all of this, especially your art is storytelling, and your art is is evoking an emotion. So we don't need to worry about if you bought something to help you make a title. It's not, it's inconsequential at that point. I feel like as far as long as it tells the story, which I think this does, and I think And when I said earlier that your work is in a good way sort of all over the place, because you like to just explore a theme, and just kind of like, I've seen you explore different themes and just go harder and harder and harder into those themes. I would think that sort of the I Love America pieces kind of fall into that, where I saw you doing video with AI and America and American themes, and then you took it a step further and then further. I would love to get into some of that, because I think that work is also just, again, drastically different from this work, but not in the sense of lacking story. Like it really just it has a vision and you lay it out, and it's incredible.
Yeah. So this series was really fun to do, but it was really hard for me to release it, because I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna get it. That it's a joke, but it's the kind of joke that's told from a place of love, you know. And I think that, you know, the reason why I came up with the title "I Love America" was because, you know, I do love America. Like, I'm a product of like successful American cultural conversion. I grew up in Australia, but all the media I watch is American, and even when I watch Australian media, I'm repulsed by it. Like, it's just one of those things that I'm fully indoctrinated as well. So for me, I like wanted to do something that was talking about these various opposing elements with the representation of the cultural American identity, but I wanted to do it from the perspective of AI. I wanted to see what LLMs were saying about how divisive it is in America, or, you know, answering these tough questions about America and American cultural identity. And then, you know, really kind of like getting it to show me what it thought, and then making the art out of that. So all of the images were actually created in ChatGPT and then taken out and then redone through like Flux latent upscaling, and then my own magnific knockoff upscaling as well. And like yeah, once you get things out of Dali's probably the most reactive and interactive in terms of being able to create something like this, where I have very specific elements that I want in it, and I go, I want this and I want that, and then you can talk to it and go, no, I actually want this, and you can really argue with it. And then, yeah, to get this specific style, I use Dali. But the images that come out of Dali usually come out shit. Like, they have pretty low resolution, or the faces are all mangled and stuff. And so I'll use the parts of it, and then chuck a control net in there, and then I'll basically go, hey, here's the shape, and then I'll get it to reimagine it, like I'll denoise it and stuff, and get it to run it through another model. And so when it runs the other model over it, and then it looks at the shape and the parts and everything that's in it, um, there is another step in there where I actually have ChatGPT look at the image to create the prompt that goes into Flux. So that's actually built into my my workflow, and that's something I learned from Machine Delusions. And so basically, yeah, it goes, you know, Flux model into like looking into this, and then it rebuilds it with the information that it has, and then it makes the more detailed image that you see here.
That's wild, man. I understood. I'd say about 75 to 80% of what you just said.
Sorry.
Which I understand because I've played with some of these tools. That's pretty fascinating that you can get what you described as sort of like the idea of an image with a mangled face, and it's sort of like not all there. But then you're feeding it into a program where it was like Stable Diffusion or something that can look at the shape and say, okay, you probably wanted something like this, and it refines it. I think what comes through for anyone who's ever just like messed around with AI, and done some prompting and tried to get things that they wanted, or, you know, even just like, you know, experimenting. You don't just put in a prompt and get this. I think that's what stands out about your work versus a lot of work that's out there, that it's very clearly intention driven, and there's layers. There's a process that, like, you can't exactly put your finger on it, but you know that you didn't just write, you know, overweight dude with camo and, you know, mustache with guns. Like, you know what I mean? I think that that's what comes through in your work, whether it's something like this or any of the pieces that we've shown today. And especially in this, right? Like, you're not putting, like, you, correct me if I'm wrong, you're also cutting things out in this. You're doing some level of collaging.
No.
No, you are.
No, so the collage is actually produced by the AI as well. And there are some things in, not in this series, but in others, where I do this cutout collage style. And this collage style is actually something that I come back to a lot and do what I call mega collages. And, you know, I've been doing these collage things for a while, but for this particular series, I did not do any changes to the collages because I wanted this to be a representation of what Dali was giving me. So it was produced through conversation, and like, and yeah, these ones, you know, these ones are, like you said, not a prompt. These ones are essentially told like created through this conversation. And so, you know, these might be like a 20 or 30 step conversation where I'll go, hey, tell me what this is and what do you think of it, and then create an image that you think would be like that, and then we work on it aesthetically together to get it to this aesthetic. So this particular aesthetic is hard to do because it requires a real specificity to get it to produce that, you know. But my intention for why I wanted it to look this way was I wanted it to feel really simple at the surface and really kind of be communicative in a really large way and feel like you're not. See, the conspiracy one is the only one that I did actually put my own things into. This one I did as a mega collage and I did all the parts myself. Yeah, so conspiracy, this was the top 20 list of conspiracies according to American conspiracies according to ChatGPT, and then also some really rare ones too. And so they're just crazy, and like visualizing them was nuts. Like, but yeah, there's a lot of stupid shit in there.
Nice.
The Clintons one was crazy to me. Like the fact that ChatGPT was saying what it did to me, I was just like, all right, cool. Well, we'll put it in there. But like, yeah, it's very interesting what's in ChatGPT. Like, it's very interesting what it will tell you about things, and like that was what this story was about to me, because I was thinking, you know, people more and more, even now they have ChatGPT, Google search, people more and more are like going and looking things up through ChatGPT, which I get, because you can get ChatGPT to explain something to you, or you can get ChatGPT to repackage something for you, but it's not always correct, and it's sometimes it will just tell you what's the most popular thing rather than what's the most true thing. Like, and so, or just whatever. I don't even know how it works sometimes, but yeah, this series was really based on me thinking, what happens when someone, the only thing they know about America is that they ask ChatGPT about it, and this is, you know, this is kind of representation of those views.
That's
so like there's a lot of stuff in the series I totally disagree with, but I stand by it, and that's why it was so hard to put out, because it was like, wow, I really disagree with this in principle. This is not exactly my feelings, but I'll put it in there. Cool.
But it's a reflection of what the technology has been fed.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah.
fascinating, and then even more fascinating that people are relying on it as factual to some degree,
I'm
without
guilty of it
checking.
too.
And then it's gonna self-perpetuate, and then we're gonna get all sorts of new conspiracies and legends, and it's a little bit wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New mythologies, though. I'm
Series,
interested in new mythologies.
New
What happens
mythologies are fascinating. Like, what's the one? Slender Man, right?
Oh yeah,
That came off
that's a
the
full
internet.
internet one. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. It's full internet, and it was completely. It started, you know, where people knew it was a contest where people were going to write spooky things that sounded real, like they might be legends, and people knew that, and yet it found its way into, you know, the zeitgeist, and people believed it.
I mean,
Fascinating.
like, yeah, I mean, we could talk about legends all day, but like, you know, in the 90s, those legends, you know, that's and he was on top of the car with a hook in his hand and stuff like that. Like those kinds of things, they start as these kind of like you know, they start as ideas in smaller ways and stuff. The internet is just this big like magnifier for what's possible in that realm. It's just now we're living in like this like post-internet era where we are getting to see things like Slender Man or like, you know, other SCPs come to life in mythology.
Yeah. Well, speaking of amplifying things, this I think we're at the part of the show where we can amplify some other artists and lift them up. What do you guys think? We do a little bit of show and tell?
Let's do
Yes,
it.
let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah, we got that mic problem every time.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Nope, still underwater.
nope.
Oh, you're good. Yep.
There it is.
Wow.
But I knew that it was going to mess up, so that's a step in the right direction.
Well, again, we're growing.
We are. This is the part of the show where each of us has brought work that we've either collected or just think is really, really cool, and we want to spotlight and show show off. It will, all the work that you see today, the stuff that we've shown from Nuke's work and all the work we're about to show, it'll all be on our Art First Twitter. So go ahead, follow it, and spread it out, and give some artists some love. Nuke, we're going to start with you and this cool piece here from ABCDJ.
Yeah, I love ABCDJ.
Peggotty.
This piece really jumped out to me. This was on my timeline, and oh yeah, you can see I commented on it. Yeah, like it just really has this feeling to it, and it's for me, it's something which I think AI does really well. Is it has this way of helping you to envision these really kind of like core, like real cultural representations of things we know, you know, and are familiar with, and show you them in a way that is like surreal and bizarre and like, you know, not quite real, in that uncanny valley kind of way. And like, I think that the thing ABCDJ did here that is really perfect is having that kind of like that wide angle kind of like selfie perspective sort of thing, where it has this feeling of being there and this like disorientation and stuff. I don't know, it's just not what you normally see. And for me, it has that feeling like you're there, and it also has that weirdness where everything's wrong and stuff. And I don't know, you know, if you remember having nights like these, the memories of them aren't great. Like, and there's something
this is what they feel like. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, there's something raw and feeling and you know, not completely what's expected from this. So I just loved it. I think it was a great work. And you know, ABCDJ is someone who I really like them. They are just this kind of like chaotic, you know, they're someone who needs a bit more love, I think. And if you're into this, you should definitely follow them, because they're great, and they have this particular energy that's really kind of like, it's just wild. I love them.
That's really cool. It reminds me, you know, this is a real throwback, but Michel Gondry did a Rolling Stones music video. I think they were doing like a Rolling Stone, but he did a bunch of photographs of people partying, and then he used this warp effect between them, and it creates this similar kind of look here. But that's where my mind went to. But I really dig it, and it is this kind of surrealist Spring Breakers.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I wonder what Gundry's take is on AI and tools like that, because, you know, I don't know. He pioneered a whole lot of stuff that felt really super magical, and then you would learn that it was all practical, and you would just, like, your mind would melt and be like, that was, you know, hours and hours and hours of crazy work.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. Good pick. All right, Bryan, going over to you, sir. We've got this piece here. Be Sure, Wrightsville, Georgia.
Yeah.
Which is
this is by Douglas.
Really pretty piece. And I looked and I said it says it was digital. And the texture is just phenomenal.
Yeah. I believe he does it all in Procreate. So he is an artist that I heard whispers of him for a long time. I think people got to know him in Marfa last year, the year before, but he's a truck driver. And when he's not driving his truck, he's painting on his iPad. And so he has a lot of these kind of Americana paintings of the places he's visited. And yeah, I got to go to the Maker's Place Artist Residency show at All Ships that Blondie put together last week, and he was one of the artists. I got to see some of his works, and that lit the fire under my butt to pick up one of his pieces, because I think it's really, especially when you zoom in, you really get to see that texture. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's really special. I think he's been we've shown his work on the show before, because I think that's how I learned about him at some point. His use of not just texture, but like the lighting, his intentional lighting, and really just and I love the depth of the colors to make it, to make up the scene. Like look at that. That's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Also, even like the way the sunlight's hitting the sign and stuff like that, it's
Hmm.
really intentional, and it's really kind of paying a lot of attention to, what the see the sign is kind of casting a shadow. There's like the cool tones against the warm tones, and
Yeah,
there's a real great understanding of like just like color theory here, as well
yeah.
as the actual texture and dimension of it all. It's
I wonder
beautiful.
what the brushes are. They're really, really
They're
nice.
really cool.
I'm really intrigued by that too. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing like all these little like light hits and embossing kind of feel, and
Yeah.
It feels great. And like, is he doing that manually, or is it with a brush, or like,
I
it's
would hope
crazy.
for the brush because that would be to
Yeah,
go back in.
like I said, I don't fetishize hard work, but like, yeah,
It's
that
impressive.
would be interesting at least.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm a real sucker for Americana and like, really classic stuff like, Norman Rockwell and stuff like that. Um, Brian, your Norman Rockwell thing was amazing, dude. Like,
Oh, thanks, man.
but yeah, I'm a big sucker for that real classic Americana feel stuff.
Yeah.
This is
I mean, I
awesome.
saw a lot of Rockwell influence in that America drop you did. A lot of those
Yeah.
look like they could be
Mhm.
Rockwells, future
Yeah.
Rockwells.
That's it. That was a big thing where I was like, I wanted there to be that traditional feel to it. I'm glad you noticed.
Very cool, man. Good stuff. There it is. We
Good
got
stuff.
it. All right. Okay. I went down a rabbit hole, a rodeo rabbit hole. Especially, I think the first time we're showing work from rodeo, the platform. This is Pix Horror, um, Vacui A2. I probably butchered that, but Thomas Antal, I believe, is the artist. Um, I just thought this was really gorgeous, and
It's
it
fun, yeah.
didn't hurt my eyes. Like a lot of glitch art tends to hurt my eyes, but this was somewhere between glitch and pixel art, and
This is like out of focus art. It's like
yeah,
it's slowly like crisping and then it gets back. It's like when your eyes are trying to focus.
yeah, or when you see something like this, like that effect, that mosaic effect that like blurred things out on TV, and then it would come into focus, but it never fully gets there. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I kind of love that about it, and I love the color
I like the
choices too.
palette, yeah. Simple
I love
palette.
yeah, the palette's really nice, and there's also something really kind of like fluid about the movement of it, where it has this kind of like good loop that makes you want to look at from top to bottom.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. It's really cool.
Very
Good
nice.
find. Yeah, I have not gotten on rodeo yet.
Me either. And the thing that shocks me the most is that it looks so much like Foundation, and that should be the thing that shocks me the least.
Yeah.
That should shock you the least. That's true.
Is it mobile only or are you able to mint from desktop?
I'm not sure, if I'm being honest.
Yes.
Look, I'd be
We should-
lying if I said I wasn't rodeo curious. Maybe I might mean something there.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look at another piece that you put out there, from Cat Jack. This is felt cute. Might delete later. Some body horror.
Yeah.
Beautiful image. Wow.
Like Psycho.
Yeah. Look at that.
I love this. It was really there is something so appealing to me about the AI aesthetic, and it's something that once I get through a big thing I've been working on for a long time, it's something I want to explore before it's too late. And so I just love this from Cat Jack, and Cat Jack's someone who I've followed for a long time, and she is a big supporter and a big friend and stuff. And she's someone who is just really stepping into her own with this feeling of work that she's got coming through now. She's also got some mermaid stuff that she's doing that's just really amazing, and she's found this aesthetic, I think, that really jumps out. And really, this is that body horror and that weirdness and the not sure what delineates to what. Like, I don't know, the AI does something really special there that I think is worth celebrating, because it is one of the unique things about the style. And people always rag on AI for being like, well, you just you're just copying other people's styles or whatever. Like, and that's true for the most part. But there is something AI does uniquely, and that's this. It does things wrong. And I really appreciate that kind of thing. Yeah, this really jumped out at me when I was like going through my feed, and I was like, this is worth seeing.
Yeah, I like the subtle water bubbles, and I like that the phone is both a front and back iPhone.
Yes,
it is.
yeah.
The button in the bottom, or is it a bubble? We don't know. It's got the top camera, but I like how you phrase that. It's what AI does really well, which is it does things wrong.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, some of the best AI things that I've seen were from at least like V1, V2 of like Midjourney that are just goofy interpretations of humanity.
Well, I mean, even if you go back to like the early GAN stuff as well, like I'm a real sucker for that really early AI stuff that's pre-diffusion and stuff. It's something that I want to explore a bit later, but look at like, the Robbie Barrett stuff, the early AI stuff. For me, there's something so beautiful about that. And even like, the Almond stuff as well, where it's like super pixelated and not quite there yet, the early diffusion stuff. I love that. And, as you're seeing AI today is the worst it's ever going to be, so I think it's worth exploring the things that it can't do perfectly, because one day it will, and then it would be boring,
Yeah. Well said. All right, Brian, let's move on to another piece that you provided here. A comfy place. This one.
Oh.
Shout out to this is part of the Schiller Pass. But yeah, I love this artist. He shoots all this stuff practically in camera, and then collages it together digitally. And
I had questions about that.
It took me a long time to fully understand that until I saw some of his behind the scenes work. But he has a giant happy face ball he uses and stuff like that. But it's all it's all real imagery. It's not generated.
That is news to me. That's really cool. I thought there was like 3 levels of CG and I don't know. I guess I didn't think, or a long time ago I thought it was practical. Daniel Koth. Apologies if I get it wrong. Really cool though.
Yeah, I thought it was great. This one, and there's another piece that was a part of this Schiller drop, but really, really solid curation. And he's an artist I've seen his work, and I've wanted it, and this was a wonderful chance to grab an edition.
That's great, man. Good.
Yeah, I remember this from the timeline. I love it. I love Daniel Kohl's work, and it's one of those people that when you see him minimized in the timeline, you see him coming. You know what I mean? Like if you know what that means. There's some people you just like, and it's an interesting experience being kind of like always plugged into these art communities the way that we are, in that we have such access to this constant feed of new art from familiar artists or new artists, and like, I don't know, just being fully immersed in that world is so amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
DK is really cool.
Really cool. All right, Brian, good find, man. Good stuff. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Let's see. This one is Orange in the Morning, which Matt Perkins or Nudoro. Really beautiful piece here. Very get that feeling of like water lilies, right? But generative, and so that kind of like stopped me when I found it. I don't, it says 100% JavaScript, and that breaks my brain because I don't understand how that's possible as someone who doesn't code, clearly.
That's beautiful.
This is gorgeous. I really love that, right? Finding out that's generative is so surprising because it has such a painterly feel to it, and the reflective sort of feeling and stuff like that. Like it's really quite amazing.
Yeah.
There we go. Look at that.
Wow.
Oh moly! I wonder. I don't know how rodeo works, but if it's generative, is each one unique, or is it just a singular JavaScript-based painting that was made? I don't know. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
And definitely, like it's begging to be printed out as large as it can be, and just displayed, to really look at these just juicy details. Look at that.
Awesome, man. I'd love it. I think this is really really amazing.
Yeah. Hopefully,
what's the artist name?
His name his name is Matt Perkins, but he goes by Nudoro.
Eudora.
Again, he'll be linked up with everybody else. And if they watch the show, maybe they'll give us some insight into how they do it in the comments.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I'm gonna try and go see what the code, see the live view. This is the JPEG, but I bet there's a way to view the actual generative code.
Yeah,
that might give some insight.
All right, Nuke, you're up with your third selection. Is this piece here, which again, all right, so this piece does have audio. Yours also have audio, and I'm unable to play the audio today, but I highly encourage people to go take a look. This is extra haunting because the audio for this is birds chirping in nature. It's very quiet, very still. It's just nature soundtrack behind this one. Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about this that you picked?
This one, there is something. This is similar to that first one in that it has some familiarity to it, but it also, this one steps into this like surreality kind of world where there is something AI does really well, and that's this kind of really dread-inspiring banality. And for me, I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely really love the way that it does that. And this particular artist is so cool. And there's someone who's making a big kind of like a big splash of an entry, I think, by producing work that is so outstanding. And definitely check them out. The stuff they've been doing has just been really kind of mesmerizing to me. And yeah, this one really jumped out at me because I don't know, we've all commuted and stuff, and like we've all been in really busy subways and stuff, and like there is something so oppressive about being in amongst that scale of people in transit and stuff, and all waiting for things. And there's such a human experience to have to wait for things because of other people, and like I think this captures something really interesting about it.
Yeah, especially when they're not moving.
Yes.
They're just sort of idly standing by. Just that opening shot is so haunting.
Yeah,
because you don't see it, right? Like that's just, you see people waiting in a line. You don't see an entire crowd motionless standing.
Yeah.
Around,
Unless you're waiting for Rise of Resistance in Disneyland.
That's fair. That's fair. Those lines are long.
That's a long line.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
Bryan, you've got one more piece here, and then I've got one more as well.
Oh boy.
This is I am not good at computer. Screen number 0505.
I feel like maybe I might have done a Sergeant Slaughterman in the past.
You might have, but well
I found
worthy of.
All of this stuff is so dope. I don't know if you'd link to the website I sent as well. That goes with this, but it's worth going to that because the website is. Let's see if you can pull it up. But I love these kind of generative abstract pieces that utilize UI. But then the experience on the website was like you can mint these kind of key figures in history, whether they're authors or historical figures or artists or musicians. You can have like the Beastie Boys cards. And there'd be like these editions of 10 of all these different people. And then if you minted 5 of those, then you'd get like a discount on one of these generative pieces. And each of those led to a different generative piece. And I just think,
There we go.
There's the website. Yeah. I just thought it was such a cool experience. And so you can see over on the side, there's every 4 cards discounts. And so you can click on, you get the Francis Bacon's one. And then from that on the right, see, then it unlocks a bunch of other things you can go to. And each of these are like addition of 10 cards that you can mint as well.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
It's just a really crazy concept.
And you can move it around too.
There's something so like nostalgic about this particular kind of like Apple II kind of era, or like, you know, early Mac era kind of like UX and stuff. I just love it. I'm a real big sucker for that kind of like 90s nostalgia, like tech era sort of thing. And I think this is really so well done at achieving that effect as like a frame for the generative work. I love it. It's cool.
Get into more pop culture. Click on the Green Lantern one.
Where is this? Where is that?
Bottom. It's the bottom one.
Green Lantern. Here we go.
So awesome. now you'll start getting Alan Moore and Superman and Dork Age.
Awesome.
So like it goes real deep.
This is wonderful, man. Wow.
That's so cool.
All right, good. This is super good. Good stuff, man. See if I got you. There you go.
Oh yeah. It's wild.
Awesome.
Wow. Nice share, man. Thank you. All right, I got last but not least. This is again an artist I found over on Rodeo. This is Pixels and Waves. Let me pull this up. Oops, there we go. By Rubber Val. Nope, just kidding. This one is Pixels and Waves. Which is just such a beautiful loop.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but get lost in it. Yeah.
This one's under pixel art, which would be really hard to make.
3D pixels. This is also generative. Python's very nice.
Oh yeah.
Which again just breaks my brain.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about you know, code-based art and generative art is that, you know, it's something that I'm about to start exploring a little bit more through AI-based code. You know what I mean? And like, it's an interesting thing. If you use AI to code generative art, is it then AI generative art?
It's a good question. I mean,
this is really cool.
Yeah.
I love in the top right-hand corner the just the way the wave kicks up and stuff. And there is something about this where you look at any different part of it and you see a different type of movement. It's really cool.
Yeah, there was something that I could just like consistently find in this. And I liked watching the patterns and seeing, you know, it's mesmerizing.
Oh yeah. It's definitely
Yeah, really cool. Thank you. Whew. Very cool. Oh man. Wow. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't even know what time. 59. Wow.
59. And before we head out, Nuke, you got anything coming up that you want to plug or talk about, or you're excited about, or the last thoughts?
Yeah, I've got something I'm working on that I've been working on it for over a year, and it's really interesting because it's something that I have not really got any intentions of selling. I'm actually going to be releasing a work that will be an experience over about a month that will just release the work to be seen and not to be sold. So that's coming up soon. It's called Voyeur. It's basically just an exploration about the way AI sees things, but it's more of something that I just need to kind of get out of my system as an artist, and I want everyone to experience it, and I don't want its success to be judged in a metric of sales. I want its success to just be in its existence.
Good for you, man. That's really cool. That's the beauty of making art, right? Is that you can choose to just make something to make something. You don't have to worry about, you know, choosing to sell it or not. It can just let the art speak for itself and be a thing, because so often it's true. We just have to do stuff to get it out of our brains, just to see it through. I love that.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, and you know, I don't know. I'm tempted by Ape Chain, but we'll see. Not for that, for something else.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
I know all about it.
Yeah.
I felt the itch the other day. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Just for
maybe.
fun. Just for fun. I like
I had
the
a lot of
idea of low cost fun.
I had a lot of stuff I was making for Shape, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really quite make much of a splash in Shape, so we'll see what I do with this other body work I'm working on. So yeah, I've got a lot of things I'm working on. Some will never see the light of the day, and some will. So we'll see.
Nice. We'll look
Very
forward
cool.
to it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
thanks for having me, guys. Like I can't believe you got me on for your anniversary show and tell me like, love the show, dudes. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure, man. Like I said, friends with you, but big fan of what you do.
Hopefully
So
we'll hang out in person again sometime soon.
Definitely. And make sure everybody, thank you so much for tuning in live. If you're seeing this on the replay, thank you for watching it there. And please go follow the show and please share out the links. Let's spread the love and get some more eyeballs on these artists. Until the next time, we'll see you later. Take care, everybody.